Hey everyone, today's Saturday the 19th of March, and today I'll be covering mostly the stock market. I want to talk about a few of the indices in particular as we head into a pretty interesting week ahead. Um, so what you're looking at now is the chart of the S&P 500, the daily chart. So what I want to do is just run you through what I'm looking at, and then I'll compare it to a few other indices that I also look for. I don't necessarily trade them, but I look at them as indicators to see where we might be going next. Okay, so just looking at the daily chart for the S&P 500. Now we've been in this massive uptrend, right? This is since the 11th of February, so not that long. We've pretty much 5-6 weeks of just straight up moves. Now, obviously, this is going to come to an end, right? We're just waiting, and we've been kind of eyeing this level, right? Now, we don't want obviously we don't want to take a trade yet, right? Because even though you can take a trade now if you want. It depends on what your risk reward is. But we want to wait for confirmation, right? What I mean for confirmation is just an entry signal, a candlestick, or some kind of pattern that tells us that okay, it's time to get in. But what I wanted to also take note of is if you look at the move back in September last year, we see a similar kind of move, right? Not exactly, of course, but very similar. So we could kind of use that to look at some clues. And you can see here that we went straight up. We had this trend line that we were looking at as potential reversal area, and then we didn't get a real clean candlestick in bearish. We didn't really get a confirmation signal as such. We kind of had to wait for another second or third candle to really get that confirmation, because this wasn't really that clear. It was more, it was kind of more of an indecision candle. So. But basically, we're just looking for a confirmation signal at the moment, and at the moment, it's hit all the targets that I've stated before, but still hasn't reversed yet. But we're very close. RSI is overbought. We're hitting towards these critical trend lines. I've drawn in some support and resistance lines, but at the moment, you're looking at this kind of zone around here. All right, now. Once this reverses, where we'll go? Well, we don't know. It could pull back down here and then continue up. I don't really know for sure. We can never know for sure. But there is going to be a big downside at some point, whether it's this week or next week or the week after. It's going to come, all right? Now the problem is most people will look to get in short, thinking that it's going to go all the way down. Really fast, but tends not to be the case. So you got to be careful of that, because like I said in the other videos, the markets or the institutions know that people are looking to go short, right? And their job is to make sure that they make the money and you lose, right? So, and they have all the money in the world to push this however they like. So if you try to get in there, you can find yourself, coming down to here, being massive profit. And then all of a sudden, the market just whips back up, and before you know it, you're at either break even or a loss. So it's going to be really careful of that. You're going to make sure you have a plan when you come in, where you enter, where you're going to take profit, where you're going to exit, what's your exit strategy, where's your risk reward, where's your stops going to be, all that kind of stuff. How you're going to manage those stops as well. So that becomes all very important. But at the moment, I'm waiting for that entry signal. I think we're going to get it probably early next week, maybe. This week was, I think yesterday or this week is option expiration week. So that's another reason why the market kept going up, because there's a lot of people holding option contracts, and the institutions know that as well, and they're going to try and, push this as much as they can to make them expire worthless. Okay, but that's that there. I'm looking at around this zone here, so around the 204s up as high as the 208s. There is, I don't think this is going to keep going up, but you never know with this market. It could go up, it could just keep going up, but I highly doubt it. If it does, then that would be very unusual. Anyways, so that's that there. We're just waiting for that entry signal. Now, the other thing I want to talk about was, now I usually look at the IWM, which is the Russell Index, Russell 2000 Index, which is basically like the small cap stocks of the US market, and the NASDAQ, which is basically all the tech stocks in the US market as well. Now, these tend to be really good leading indicators, right? So market tends to follow what the IWM does and what the NASDAQ does, okay? Generally, if there's going to be some kind of move to the upside or downside, usually it happens first in the NASDAQ or the IWM, okay? That mainly because, generally all the risk assets come out of the IWM first, because these are small caps. Usually, if the market's going to get pumped up, usually the smart money starts to move money into the IWM, and that moves the market, and then that has a flow-on effect to the other indexes. Same thing with the NASDAQ, but not so much, right? The NASDAQ's pretty much comprises of not just technology stocks, but pharmaceutical, health, business services, stuff like that. So all the technology and services kind of companies. So that's why it's very important that the NASDAQ, where the NASDAQ moves is going to drive the market. So, and the last probably week or so, although we've looked like we're going to go down in the S&P, right? We've got this sell signal. We're looking good to go down. The IWM has shown continued up move, right? And the NASDAQ. So when we look at that, like we look at here, you've got this bullish move here where prices have broken out of this channel. So we're looking at more upside still. So that tells me that this is not ready to sell yet. We're not ready to sell yet. Once we get that confirmation signal on the IWM or the NASDAQ, ideally I prefer both. That's when we will start to look for a reversal. Okay. But that's how I look at these two indexes. I don't trade them, but they are really good leading indicators. So keep an eye on that one. But yeah, so as of now, we're still waiting, and we'll see what happens there. The NASDAQ, the Aussie market pretty much is the next one here. Now, the Aussie is pretty much traded completely differently to all the other indices. But again, we're kind of heading into that reversal zone. So I don't see this going up much further. Maybe I think I drew in a pattern here. We've got a bat pattern here, right? So you've got a bat pattern and down here, completion at the 88. So you're looking at potential short entry at 5283. Is a good area. So keep an eye on that one. You've got a potential trend line here that could get rejected. So that's another indication of potential reversal, and we're looking for probably something where we can get an overbought signal. Okay, maybe some bearish divergence as well might be good. But I'm definitely looking at reversal on the ASX as well. Now, again, where does this all go? Like, what are our targets, right? Now, it's hard to say at this stage. I know where the target would be in, the future targets. Everything's going to be dependent on time, you know what I mean? Like, we could just go sideways for months, right? Even though we've got a target down here, for example, like this could go sideways for months. So it's really hard to put a time frame to this. But basically, the longer it goes sideways, the more likely it will be that it could keep going up. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now, oil. Oil is interesting. Now we're heading into that zone where we're looking at there's a potential sell. Okay, it's kind of come back down, broken structure, right? Continued down, hit a low of 26.8, and then pulled back up, rallied, and we're now into that structure zone, right? We're into that zone where we're at that 38, 39 area. Now you can look for a short, right? You can probably enter short probably now, and then probably with targets probably down at the 26s as first target or second target. But what I think might happen is, and it really depends what happens this week, because this week's we've got the you've got the we've got the lunar eclipse. I think that's on the Wednesday night. Now it doesn't. It's not conspiracy theory or crazy talk. Historically, right? Markets tend to have a big reaction to those kind of events. So the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, all those big main events, astrological events. The market tends to actually react very, you know, very negatively or very positively in the markets. So if we're still around this level, then we're looking at, could be looking at a massive up move or massive down move. So it's something to keep an eye on. It has happened before, so just don't write it off. But in terms of upside, I don't see that there's going to be any upside. Like the chances of seeing an upside is very minimal compared to the downside. But what we could see is, because we're basically in this nice little trend, right? We've kind of rallied. We've been in this nice little uptrend. We've got some bearish divergence, so we know we're going to see a retrace, right? But where are we going to retrace to, right? If I'm looking for continuation to the upside, then I'm looking for a retracement down for around this level here. So a pullback down to maybe about here, roughly around this level, and then upside continuation. Now, if we break this level here, if we go further down, retrace further down and close below this level here, right, which is the 35.85, then it is likely that we're going to see, a continuation to the downside. But we have to see. We don't really know yet. I'd be really careful trading oil at the moment anyway. So that's that there. The gold market. Gold is still, it's been pretty quiet, but still in this bullish consolidation pattern, right? I've got a bullish Gartley pattern on the 4-hour time frame that does provide a good level of entry if price does go down that low, which I think it will. But at the moment, it's you can buy it here, but it's way too high still. I'd still like to see a bit more of a retrace before we look for an entry. But yeah, gold's still a big buy signal for me, short term and long term. Which leads on me the next question, which is the dollar, US dollar. So I'm very bullish on this still. I think there's still more upside to this, but it has shown signs of some weakness, right? But I do still see a bit of a bullish move upwards, and we'll see how that tracks over the coming days and weeks. But it's still bullish for me for a continuation to the upside. But again, you've got to watch the gold price, all right? If gold is going down, then the dollar's going to go up. So that's another way for you to kind of another method to look for potential, signal that it's going to keep going up or down, right? So you look at these other correlations. So if gold goes down, most likely the dollar's going to go up, and vice versa. So that's that there. Now I want to show you. I won't go through too many of the currency pairs. There are a lot of opportunities there, but I'll mainly cover the Aussie dollar because that's the one that most people are pretty interested in. So now I've been talking about this pretty much every video, pretty much. So looking at the daily chart now. I've been saying for a while now, we're looking for this. We're waiting for price to come back up and retest this level here, which is around the 75, 76 levels, that kind of range. And we're looking for a reversal back down. Now, originally, months ago or weeks ago, I said that once we get to this level, then I'd be looking for a reversal, but not just a retrace, but more of a continued move down. Because I still think we're going to see the 65s as the next leg down low point, right? But I haven't really traded the Aussie dollar much the last 2 weeks at all, so I've only really had a look at it today, really. And what I think is going to happen is we might actually see some continuation to the upside, all right? It's very strong at the moment. It's very, very bullish. Right? It has to retrace, that's a given, right? And we've already got the signal to say that we're going to retrace. So I think we're going to see initially, probably this week, we're going to see a move down to maybe around the 74s levels. I don't see it going anywhere below 73s, 73 and a half probably. But what we want to see is we want to see it we want to see it retrace to, somewhere around this region here, right? This region here, and then a continuation to the upside. Okay, that's what we want to see. So the retrace, which we're going to get this in, and then a continuation to the upside. Right, that's what we want to see. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm probably banking for. But there is always the possibility that we could just break structure and keep going down. Okay. But right at the moment, at this point in time, the Aussie dollar does look pretty strong. But you've got to be careful of these rallies, because this has only been since probably 21st of January till now. We've rallied about 10 cents, which is massive. It's a massive rally. So I'll be very cautious of that. The other thing that I looked at too is that we've kind of broken structure. So we had this down move here. We're clearly in a downtrend, right? Making lower highs and lower lows, and then we get down to here, and then we go back up, and we've broken this structure level. Okay, so we've broken a key structure level, price breakthrough, which automatically signals to me that we might have a potential trend change. All right, so that's why this next move here is going to be interesting, right? But what we're going to be looking for next is for price to come down to, no. We don't want it to go beyond this level here, which is the 73.5. If it keeps going beyond that, then this is probably most likely a false move or fake out, and we're going to probably see continued move to the downside. But for now, it looks like a potential trend change. So that's, like I said, we're looking for this, and then something like that. Okay, but be careful on this one. It's not over yet. I still probably see more downside to this. We'll see what happens though. So that's that, guys. I won't take up much of your time on the video, so I think I've covered off the main stuff. But just keep an eye on this week. I think this week's going to be interesting. The lunar eclipse. All the markets are kind of at this area where they're all looking to, reverse trend. So best of luck, and talk to you soon, guys. Cheers. See ya.